Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? It is 7:54 p.m. and I am on my way to go to, I'm just gonna use the Drunk Elephant one. It's really nice. If you guys have never tried this Drunk Elephant brand, it's really nice. It literally has no flavor to it, but it's just really smooth and it stays on for a long period of time. I'm getting ready to go to Meijer. Again, it's another little Meijer early evening drive that you guys get to do with me. So yeah, are you ready? I am going to get some things for my husbando. He, so we've had a little interesting turn of events this weekend. Last night, it's like the middle of the night. Well, he had like meetings and stuff he was supposed to do today, and he had some work stuff he had to do and go in for. So like in the middle of the night, well, it was like almost like early morning. It was like, I don't really remember what time it was, but he woke up and he was like, babe, and I was like, what is it? And he was like, I can't turn over. He was like, something's wrong with my back. And I was like, what's wrong with your back? And he was like, I don't know. He was like, I cannot turn over. And so I sat there and I talked to him for a second, and then he like tried to turn the other way, and he was like, I'm just gonna lay on my back like this. He was like, it feels like it's like, because you know, before he had these back problems, and he went to the doctor and he did like, you know, the physical therapy, and now he goes to a chiropractor. He goes to a chiropractor like every other week, and he swears by it. So we really haven't had any he hasn't had any back problems since we talked about that, if you remember back then, right? So, like, he's just continued on with, like, what he was recommended, and it has totally worked. So, last night, and yesterday, all he did was he was over at his friend's Amy's house, and they were just, like, you know, hanging out on the couch, he and Amy and Sarah, like, and they ordered, like, pizza and stuff. Like, it wasn't like he did anything, you know? And he said, I felt great, you know, all day yesterday. So it was just like in the middle of the night. And he said it reminded him of like when he got his, like, whatever had happened before with his back. Like the very first time it happened. So I fall back asleep because I'm thinking, like, you know, he's not saying anything. And the next thing I know, he's like, Peter. And I like wake up, and the bathroom light is on, and the dogs are on the floor, and they're like by him, and he's like on the floor in the bathroom, like by the door. And I mean, I got up, like, I was like scared to death. I was like, I was like, babe, what's going on? And he was like, I don't know what happened. He was like, I tried to walk into the bathroom, and he was like, I just kind of like slowly started to go down, and he was like, I can't get back up. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, I can't get back up. Like, my back is like killing me. I cannot get back up. So I had to like, he had to lean on the counter, and I had to pull him up, and the whole time he's like in excruciating pain. And so anyway, who is texting me? I can't see. So the whole time he's like in excruciating pain, right? So I get him back into bed, and all we had at the house was a leave, which, you know, I thought would be helpful or whatever. And so he got some of that, and whenever he's trying to go back to sleep, and he's like really, really in pain, and so I'm sitting there and I'm talking to him and whatever, and we kind of both just like fell back asleep. So then I woke up, and it was like 7 o'clock, and he was talking on the phone, and I don't know how he got a hold of his chiropractor somehow, or the chiropractor's office, and was trying to see if they had like weekend appointments, but they didn't have any, and they're not going to be in until the beginning of the week. And so you know, he was like, okay. And so then I talked to a friend of mine who actually works for a chiropractor's office, and she was like, you need to get him some ibuprofen, and that's what the doctor or the chiropractor had recommended. And so my friend said, you need to get him some ibuprofen, or you need to get him like Motrin or something, which I guess is maybe the same thing. And then like a heating pad, because the chiropractor had said, don't no ice, like ice is bad. Is this out of focus again? I'm so tired of this camera being out of focus. So he was like, and she was like, you need to get him a heating pad. So he slept a lot of the day, So I didn't want to wake him up and bother him, and I just kind of started doing, like, you know, making videos. And then when I had to run, and I had to go pick up my medicine, and I did a review video, and I was just like, I'm gonna let him sleep. And when I came back, he was making, we had like some leftover, like we had a bag of pizza rolls in there and some like waffle fries, and he was like, I didn't want to have you stop and get me something, so I was just making this. And I was like, okay. And I was like, do you feel better? And he was just like in, you know, sweats and a robe. And he was like, I feel better if I'm standing up. He was like, but I've literally been standing in the kitchen for like a half an hour. And he was like, I just can't keep on standing. He was like, I'm tired. But he's like, if I sit down or if I lay down, it really, really hurts my back. So he's been like either sitting up really super straight, or he has been standing up. This morning, I thought it was going to be Misery City. I mean, he literally could not get off the bathroom floor. I was so scared for him. And he's in much better spirits. When I just left, he was talking to Sarah on the phone, and they were joking and laughing and whatever. So he's feeling better. But he was supposed to go out for a birthday party tonight. He's not going out. He's like, I am staying in. But he's kind of like bored of watching TV too. You know, like when you sit in TV, like sit and you like just watch TV or movies forever. So anyway, he'll be fine when he gets to the chiropractor on Monday. I think, hopefully, we'll find out what's going on. I've had so many friends of mine that have had like severe back problems. It's always scary to me, you know. Back problems are no joke. I've had friends of mine that like have had to have major back surgeries, and you know, being in recovery, I've had several friends of mine that have gotten hooked on, you know, pain meds because they were back, you know, back pain patients, and it's just scary, you know, like it's really, really scary. And I think to the average person out there, like, that has never really been around somebody that has like major back pain, you don't really think like, oh, my back being sore would really be that big of a problem. But it affects everything. It affects, you know, being able to stand up and work and lay down and sleep, and you're never comfortable and all this kind of stuff, you know. And it just makes me really, really sad. And his back pain is bad, but like, I mean, I've known people that literally like could not even get out of bed. It was so bad. And I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that like the same thing, you know. So I'm going to the store, and there were some other things that he wanted. He wanted Gatorade. There was something else that he wanted. I can't remember what the other thing was, but I said, let me know if you want any treats or whatever, because you're stuck in the house. And I don't even know if we're going to the pumpkin patch now tomorrow, because he was just talking to Sarah about going to brunch tomorrow. And he was like, yeah, I don't think that I'm going to be able to go to brunch tomorrow. So he seems in better spirits than he was. Like this morning, he was just like super down, and now he's like laughing and whatever. So yeah. But that's been our day, and then I've just been kind of doing videos and being there. If he needs something, I just bring it to him, you know, and playing nursemaid a little bit. Not so much. He's been kind of like waiting on himself a lot, so. I haven't talked to Tanya today. I don't know why. She hasn't called me. I told her to call me like when she got her stuff done, and maybe we would go get a fountain pop or something, but maybe we'll do that later tonight. Traffic is kind of, well, it's Saturday night, isn't it? I was going to say, traffic is kind of crazy by the mall, but it's Saturday night, so. Saturday night, Saturday night. I need to trim my beard. It's driving me crazy. I was looking at these trips last night. I got on Expedia and I started just like looking at trips. And then I got on all these other travel websites, Travelocity, and then I started Googling all these. I kind of was thinking maybe it would be fun. I forgot that we were going to Las Vegas in May, and that's 2 trips and that's expensive, but I was like, maybe it would be kind of fun to go somewhere like the 2nd or 3rd week of January, like, you know, after Christmas and New Year's. And I was kind of looking at some different places. I was looking at, well, and like I was looking at Priceline, and I was looking at what was the other one that I looked at? I can't remember, but I was looking at like Barbados and Curacao. There's in Aruba. I went to Aruba when I was a little kid with my dad. I don't really remember it real well. I remember it was super, super hot. I think that we went for like a medical convention or something. And I remember it being super, 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 super hot. And it was just he and I. So I must have been real young when we went. And that's an expensive time of year to go on a trip to the Caribbean, I found. It was funny because there was this place in Barbados that looked really, really nice. It's like kind of like a boutique hotel, all inclusive, but it's really nice. And they redid it like 2 or 3 years ago because I was reading this article about it. It has this beautiful beach. And Tanya's son and his girlfriend, they just went to Curacao not too long ago, and they said it was absolutely gorgeous, beautiful. So there's this place in Barbados. I've always wanted to go to Barbados. And except I don't scuba dive, and I think those are big like scuba diving areas, but anyway, this place that I was looking at, I was like just looking at October. I just wanted to kind of see like if we were going to schedule something like real quick, you know? And so I looked at October and I looked at January. It was literally double the price in January. I mean, I really couldn't believe it. The other thing I forgot about places like that, and when I was younger, we used to travel a lot. Like I am blessed that I got to go to a lot of these places. I mean, we went to St. Martin and St. Bart's and Grand Cayman and Mexico and Aruba and, you know, whatever. I went, where else did I go through the Caribbean? Somewhere else that I went, a couple other places. But, you know, I forgot that the flights are super, super long. Like, it's literally like a minimum of like an 8-hour flight, unless you want to pay, like, to, you know, it's just expensive. And to fly to those places to begin with, and then, you know, it's not like with Mexico for Indianapolis, I don't know what it is for other people, but if you leave her at like 6 o'clock in the morning, you're literally there by like noon, right? Like, they have like, if they don't have direct flights, they have flights from like here to Charlotte or here to Miami or here to Dallas, and then it's like, you know, one stop. And there's actually services that do, you know, like you can get like direct flights. Oh, that was what I was looking at, was this travel service last night that we had booked our original Miami or our original Mexico trip a couple years ago that we went through to see if they had it. They didn't, but because that would be ideal, is if they had like a direct flight to like Aruba or Barbados or whatever, and part of a package, and then you could just do the flight alone and have a direct flight, because then it would only be like a 5 or 6 hour flight, right? Which is still long, but it's not like fly here, sit in an airport for 2 hours, and fly here and whatever. And, you know, if I was going to like Europe or, you know, I don't know, Australia or something, that sounded funny, Australia or something like that, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But, I mean, obviously that's going to be part of it, but I don't want to do that, like, for the Caribbean, which is just south, you know what I mean? Like, if I want to do that, then I could just go to Mexico. But the problem with Mexico is it's so sketchy about the beaches because of the red tide. And I don't want to pay a lot of money to go to some place that's a lot more expensive than the Caribbean, or like, you know, than Mexico, if it's going to be the same beach. Because one of the things I really want to do is go to a beach. Our friends take cruises, and I was looking at their pictures, and they were in St. Thomas, and the beach was gorgeous. So, of course, I look up, like, hotels in St. Thomas, and it's either, like, $7,000 for a week to stay at the Ritz-Carlton, or it's, like, $3,000 for kind of a shitty hotel that doesn't even look that great, right? And that doesn't include food or any beverages or anything like that. So if you guys have some suggestions of places in the Caribbean that have a gorgeous beach that you went and stayed at, please let me know. I am somewhat sketchy about the Dominican Republic because we went twice. Did we go twice? Why can't I remember? No, we went once. Did we go once or twice? Why can't I remember? We stayed at Secrets. And then did we book another trip? I don't think we did. Why can't I remember if we went to the Dominican Republic once or twice? But anyway, well, I'm sure you guys know because I would have vlogged if I went. We went to Mexico. We went to Mexico twice and stayed at Unico twice. And then we went to the Dominican Republic the third time. Okay. the beaches were just as bad there, if not worse. And one of the reasons we wanted to go to the Dominican Republic was because the beaches were supposed to be absolutely gorgeous, which they would have been if that red tide or whatever it's called wasn't there. That Secrets Cap Cana or whatever, that was a gorgeous resort. Like, I really enjoyed that resort, and we met those people the last 2 days. That was really, really fun. And but you know, like, I kind of would like to try somewhere new. I would like to try somewhere that is not too far away, that is very tropical and gorgeous beach, you know, but then it's somewhat realistic too. So maybe they have like an all-inclusive package, or so that we don't have to worry about the drinks and stuff when we get there and they're paid for, or food or whatever, you know what I mean? That's kind of what I want. I was kind of surprised when I was looking at a lot of these places had all-inclusive packages, but it's very like boutique hotels. So they have like 1 or 2 restaurants and that's it. So just all your meals are included like when you pay up front. The thing that's nice about that for us is that then when we go, the trip is paid for, all the food's paid for, all the drinks are paid for. So then when we come back, we're not like paying extra for a trip, if that makes sense. I just like to get it all paid for ahead of time. Then I don't have to worry and I can just go and just have fun. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I know Alex has thought about wanting to go to Aruba. I think he's been once with his dad when he was growing up, because it's like just a boat ride from Venezuela. It's like real short or something. I think you can even see, I think he said you can even see Aruba from like part of the coast of Venezuela. So I think he went there with his dad. But that would be fun to do. I just don't think that January is going to be realistic, especially if we were going to go in May to EDC in Las Vegas. I actually was reading these articles about EDC, and it was like why you should stay on the Strip versus why you should get an Airbnb. And it was like all these horrible stories about, at the last minute, these Airbnb people canceling because somebody would fly in and like they would need a place to stay, and so they would get offered more money and they would just cancel the reservations and stuff like that. I don't know how that really works like in the real world, if that's like a true thing. But then it was like saying that the Airbnbs, you know, like aren't really any closer than the Strip. So if you're thinking about traffic, like that's not the issue. And then they were saying don't Uber, because an Uber is like $100 there and $175 back or something. $75, I don't know. But anyway, and then just one way, it's that expensive. And then it's hard to get an Uber out once you're there to get home. And then it was saying that you should do the shuttles, and the shuttles are like an hour drive. I'm like, I don't really want to do an hour shuttle on a bus. And I'm like, I'm starting to get the feeling maybe this isn't the trip for me. Maybe I'll let Alex just go and do that stuff, or, you know, his cousin lives close to the Strip. So if we stay in the Strip, then I can just do my thing and not go to EDC. The thing is, I wanted to go at least one day so I could say that I went and I could enjoy it. But anything on the Strip, like I looked at the Cosmo when we were there to see how much it was if we would go there for EDC. And it's literally like 3-4 times as much as it was when we went in August. And I just cannot, unless I would catch a day where the prices went way down, I just can't justify paying that much money for a hotel that I stayed in for not anywhere near the price. I just can't do that because of the time of year. And I know people will be like, well, then don't stay in a hotel like that, you know, do whatever. All of the hotels in Las Vegas that week are expensive because of EDC, and there's something else that's going on that's a big deal that week too. And so it's like, and the other thing is, if I don't go to the festival and I just stay in the hotel, like I'm gonna wanna be in a hotel that I enjoy, right? So, and then I started looking at like condos on the Strip and stuff, and all the condos are pretty expensive. I mean, they're just as expensive as hotel rooms. So I was like, well, I don't know that I think this is any better of a deal or whatever. I don't know. This is like the first like family, their music festival they're all doing together. And I get it, and I understand that they all want to do that, so I want to participate in that as well and be part of it. But we'll see. We've talked a couple times about getting a house in Puerto Rico. You know, or somewhere in the Caribbean but Puerto Rico, because, Carlos and Liliana went there. They've been there twice now or just once? Just once. They went there because Carlos plays like this baseball league. It's like this national baseball like league kind of thing. And so Puerto Rico was where they had like the thing. And they went and they loved it. And they said the beaches were just like Venezuela. They like fell in love with like Puerto Rico like overnight. So now they want to go back there. So we had talked about like renting a house in Puerto Rico and like all of us going there for Christmas and stuff like that. But I looked, and to rent a house in Puerto Rico at Christmas, it's expensive. Like, it's really expensive. So, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it wouldn't be super expensive, you know, like split like 4 or 5 ways. We were supposed to do that last year, and like everybody went their separate ways and did different stuff. I kind of like to be in Indiana for Christmas because of the snow and stuff like that too, but I don't know. Caroline and I were talking about it, and she was like, she said to me, I can't remember what she says to me, but she was like, would you be hurt if I went away for Christmas? And I said, no, Caroline, not at all. And she's like, I just don't, like, there's not really any reason for, you know, us to be here anymore. It's just like the 3 of us and whatever. And I said, Caroline, I totally understand it. I get it. You know, like if we didn't have Alex's family, we would probably go somewhere too. I think I would. I'd go to Vegas or, you know, Vegas. I would go to Vegas or, I don't know, Mexico or the Caribbean or something. You know, be on a beach for Christmas. And so then last year, Caroline really wanted to schedule something or plan something and go somewhere else. And David and Mike were like, go away for Christmas? She was like, yeah, we used to all the time with Mom and Dad because they had a place in, what's that place called? It's Sarasota, but they call it something else. Why can't I think of what they call it? Key, something, Longboat Key. And they have a place down there. So anyway, she was like, we used to do that all the time with Mom and Dad. And they're like, no, we want to be here for Christmas. How can we be away from the dogs in the house for Christmas? Caroline's like, are you kidding me? So I don't know, I haven't even talked to her about it if she's going away this year for Christmas. Do you ever do that? Do you ever just like dream and look at stuff? I do. Alright, I'm gonna go in and get this stuff for him. And then I will be back in just a little bit. Bye. And we are back. From 2 and 2 Love Connection. Do you remember that back in the day? I'm so hungry. I have not eaten dinner tonight. I haven't really had anything to eat today. Have I? I just tasted those smoothies from McDonald's that I reviewed. And I just ate this thing of Oreo, golden Oreo minis. It's empty. Oh, is there something in here? Oh, just the paper that was on top, because I always clean things up as I go. I may have a container of Nutter Butters right here, but I haven't dove into those yet. So what did I get at the store? Well, I got Alex ibuprofen. I don't know why I always have a hard time saying that word. And then I got him a heating pad. And then I also got him these like icy hot like you put it like patch. I don't know if they work. I don't know if he'll want to use them, but I got them. And then I got some corn for me to heat up because I'm hungry. And then I walked all over and got him, my eating is so horrible. I've got to get back on this program. I got a little pumpkin pie too. I got that. Oh, and then I walked all over and I had to get him this Gatorade. And then he wanted Gatorade Zero, but he only wanted it in blue or reddish purple, which I don't know what reddish purple, I don't know what that means. And they only had it in like yellow, and I'm like looking, like there's like 15 different kinds of Gatorade, you know, there's like Gatorade Plus, Gatorade Zero, I don't know what the different types are, but I'm just making them up, but he wanted Gatorade Zero. And they only had it like in big bottles or in yellow, and I knew that he wanted like several of them to keep in the fridge. So I was like texting him, trying to find out which ones he wanted. And then finally, he was like, well, they don't have blue, whatever. And so finally he was like yellow, and they had yellow, and I looked down at the yellow, and right on top of the yellow or top of something else next to the yellow was the blue, the glacier ice or whatever, glacier ice, which is like blue. So that's what I got him. And now I'm headed home. There are so many Halloween things out. There are Halloween Little Debbies out. There are fake Little Debbie Halloween things out. I don't know what they're called, but they looked good. There's caramel apple pies, little caramel apple pies you can get. There's all kinds of stuff. Melissa and Jason are going to see The Hustle tonight, so I guess, or Hustlers tonight, or whatever it's called, so I guess we won't be going to see that with them, because Alex is in bed. He said he was laying down, and he feels better laying down, so. Before he couldn't lay down, but I guess now he can. And that is about it. I got some water, too, because I'm dying of thirst. It's hot outside. I mean, for evening in the fall, it's 81 degrees. And I'm going to go home and get him situated, and then I am going to warm up this corn. And I think I'm going to lay down for a little bit. I may lay down for like an hour. Should we have a Nutter Butter? Oh my God, I haven't had Nutter Butters in forever. When I saw them, have you seen they have these little things? They have them in Oreos and stuff. They're like $1. I think they were like $1.05 or $1.01. Like the price, like tag, like went on the thing said like $1.05 or something. It was like some really random. Do you guys ever smell your food? Oh my God, I love Nutter Butters so much. And you know, like Nutter Butters, like they, well, these are round because they're little. But, and they look like a peanut. If you've never had them, they look like the edge of a peanut. But if you get the real Nutter Butters, I love anything peanut butter. I'm like a huge peanut butter freak. Love it. I love peanut butter. But a real Nutter Butter is like in the shape of a peanut, isn't it? Oh, these are so good. And they fit perfectly in my cup thing right there. I asked Alex if he wanted me to get him anything for brunch tomorrow, since he doesn't think that he can go to brunch. He may wake up and feel a lot better. Who knows? But I said, do you want cinnamon rolls or anything? He was like, no. By the way, if you watch my review channel, I told a story on there yesterday about this chicken soup that I used to eat with my mom on Sunday. And I said it was called Mrs. Knorr's, but that I pronounced it Mrs. Knorr's because it was like Knors. And all these people were like, it's Mrs. Grass's, the one you're talking about, because I talked about there being like a gold egg in it. And so I looked it up online, and they're right, it is Mrs. Grass's. And I totally all of a sudden was like, when I was reading the comments, I was like, oh my God, I remember Mrs. Grass's soup too. This used to be a little sushi place. Is it closed down now? Oh no, it's still a sushi place. It's a little house. And they're building another hotel right here. We have 4 little hotels right here. I guess we need another one. I don't know why. But anyway, if all these hotels, I think it must be because the hospital's right there. But why would that many people want to? I mean, we have like probably within a 5-mile radius, we probably have like 10 hotels. There's not anything real exciting going on right here. So anyway, but then I looked at Mrs. Knorr's. Well, it's a brand too. So I must have eaten that chicken soup as well. But what I did remember was my mom would make this vegetable dip. Because when I pulled it, when I typed in Mrs. Knorr's, whatever, it came up with this like soup. Did you hear that? Oh my God, that's on the other side. It came up with this like French onion dip kind of thing. And I was like, that must be why I remember it. But she also has a chicken soup, so I must have misconnected them somewhere in my head. I remember my mom used to make the best chili in the entire world. One of the things that she did, I'm sure this is driving you guys crazy, I'm sorry. I apologize for the nutters. The nutter butter. Ah, family friendly. The nutter butters. One of the things that my mom would do is she, you know, like people put macaroni in. I've talked about this before, but how people put macaroni. This is so dumb. I don't know why I'm even talking about it, but I miss it. She used to put macaroni, or people put macaroni in their chili, or put it to the side, and then you can put like the beans and the meat and all that stuff over it. She would actually make spaghetti, like long spaghetti, and then she would just mix it right in the pot. And, yeah. One time I asked her, and it was like beans and ground beef, it was real easy. When I was older, one time I was like, Mom, like, I want to learn how to make your chili. This was way before she was sick or anything. I was like, you know, God forbid, like if something happens, I'll never be able to have your chili again, you know? And she was like, oh, it's real easy. And I was like, what is it? She goes, I literally just follow the recipe on the Chilio packet. And I was like, what's a Chilio packet? She's like, you just go to the grocery store. It's like this Chilio seasoning packet. And you just follow the directions on the back of it. And so, I think it must have been Christmas time. It was like the week of Christmas. So these were some of the things that my mom used to make that I loved. The meal that was my favorite was my mom made chicken curry. I don't have the recipe for that, but I'm a vegetarian now anyway, so I wouldn't make it anyway, but she like baked it like a casserole. And I loved it. Actually, this is kind of funny because I say I don't eat fish, and I've never really eaten fish, but I did eat tuna fish. Like tuna fish salad sandwiches I would eat, and little cans of tuna I ate. But like that was really like the only fish I've ever been able to stomach besides like shrimp or crab meat. But like fish to go in somewhere and get like mahi or something, or like my mom used to cook orange roughy and all that kind of stuff, I couldn't do it. But she used to make, this is funny because I talk about the tuna tetrazzini, you know, on my drama channel. She used to make a tuna casserole that I actually really liked when I was growing up. All the things, the mainstay staples that my mom used to make that I hated, except for tacos. I still hate homemade tacos. But like meatloaf, there was a period where I felt like, I mean, I used to go to Boston Market just because I was craving meatloaf so bad. And, what was the other thing I was going to say about that though? So my mom, the things that she made that were the best that I loved were this, she made chicken curry, and then she would make chicken a la king, which one time I said that to her. It was like, we were like, I can't remember, it was like after a counseling session when I was in high school or something. I don't remember when it was, but I said something to her about that was like one of my favorite meals that she made. And she goes, chicken a la king, seriously? And I go, yeah, why? And she goes, you literally just make those biscuits that you get in the can, and then you heat up a can of chicken a la king and you pour it over that. Because it's like really easy meal, Peter, for nights that I was like busy and got home late. And then she made orange bread, and it was really, really good. And it sounds like it would be like citrusy and orangey, but it really tastes kind of just like homemade like white bread, but with kind of an orangey flavor to it a little bit. But it just looks like white bread, and but it's thicker. It's like, you know, more like a homemade loaf of bread that's like thick. And then she would cut it in like, you know, pieces like that. And then she made these muffins that were called raw apple muffins. And she would actually, like, into the muffin you cook pieces of raw apple. And so when you're eating them, there's like raw apple inside of the muffins. They're delicious. They taste like cinnamon and brown sugar and everything. And then she made deviled eggs. So for this one Christmas that week, I was like, of course, down memory lane, and I was like, this might have been like, I don't know, 2 Christmases after my mom passed away, when Alex and I were going over to my aunt's house or something. And I was like, I'm gonna make all of the things that my mom used to make. And I made the deviled eggs. I totally oversalted them and screwed them up, but I was very proud of them anyway. And then I made the orange bread, I made the raw apple muffins, I took all of that over there, and then for Alex and I made my mom's chili, and I literally followed the package, or the packet of the Chilio on the back, and it was exactly the same as I'd always had. Tasted exactly like it. Isn't that crazy? and I burned the pan. That's why I don't cook. These are so good. All these little restaurants through here are like real busy tonight. It's 9:17. I was in there for a while, wasn't I? I kind of just wandered around and looked at the stuff for a little bit. It feels like it's like 11 or 12 out. I forget that like normal people's schedules, like even on the weekend, they're like in bed by like 12 or 1, right? And that's late for a lot of people, you know? They'll go out to dinner and they'll come home and then they're in bed by like 11 or 12. I forget that, you know, most people don't stay up till the crack acid on like I do. But it works for me. All right, listen, I'm gonna get off here and get this food home and, or whatever, get the Gatorade and Alex's stuff home for him and get him settled, and then I will be back a little bit later. Bye. Hello, hello, hello. I'm back. Did you miss me? Okay, I missed you too. I really did. I actually tried to answer a bunch of comments tonight on all of my videos that I posted, and my head is kind of hurting tonight. So I did that. You guys, I got back from Meijer and ate my corn, and then that helped Alex get all the stuff situated. The heating pad is really, really helping his back. Did I tell you I bought him a heating pad? I don't remember that, but anyway, he said that's really helping his back, but I can tell he's still in a lot of pain. I don't know if we're gonna get to go to the pumpkin patch thing tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. So he was just laying in bed watching TV, and the dogs were laying in bed, and so I was like, I'm gonna lay down for like an hour and a half. So I laid down for like an hour and a half, and then I got up, and I realized that I forgot to post my Peterisms video. I had turned the air off and had the window open, but now it's hot in here. I did like a 20-minute, it was like over a 20-minute Peterisms video. I sat outside today and filmed like 4 meditations. So, I usually, if I can, I try to like watch my videos back before I post them. I don't always do that, but I try to. So, before I left, I sat outside and watched my Peterisms video back, and it was like, I read 4 meditations, and I don't want to get into them too much. So if you don't know, I have a channel called, it's very similar to this actually in a lot of ways. I mean, if 2 of my channels are the most similar, it's probably this and my Peterisms channel, which you can find on my, you can find from this channel. It's linked below too, but I typically read daily meditations, like, what else are they called? Daily inspirations and things like that, and then I just kind of have a little, you know, I share my feelings about it or whatnot, you know? Or I tell some stories on there, but very rarely. Typically what I do is I read meditations and then I kind of share personal stories as I'm reading the meditations. So, and I have read those meditation books for years. Ever since I got sober, I've read them. And it's interesting on that channel, you know, like, I have to say, when people come up to me and introduce themselves to me, or they'll say like, oh, are you Peter Mon, right? And we'll sit there and talk. That is typically a channel that people always, it's really weird because out of all 5 of my channels, even including my booktube channel, which I'm like not even posting that often on anymore because I just am not reading right now, you know? I'll get back into the swing of things here in a week or two, but out of all of my channels, that channel is probably the one that gets like the least amount of views per video. But that is the channel that people always say to me, please don't ever stop making videos on. Like, I watch your Peterisms every day. It has really, really helped me. You know, like that one, I mean, and the vlog, but I get a lot of messages about the vlog. That is the channel that people always say something to me about in person. And it's always crazy to me because I'm like, you know, I might get like 800 or 1,000 views a video over there. And I love doing those videos because I just get to kind of sit down, you know, like if I'm with Tanya or whatever, we both kind of read the Language of Letting Go by Melody Beatty. So we'll talk about whatever the meditation was in there for the day. And I'll be like, did you read the meditation today? And she'll say, oh yeah, or no, I didn't. What was it about? And then we'll talk about it because it's a lot about codependency and resentment and anger and all that kind of stuff. But there were 4 really, really good meditations on there. And I think to some degree, I almost kind of like needed to hear the reminder because they were really valuable lessons that I've learned in my life, but specifically in the last year. And one of them was talking about like victimization, you know, and like when we victimize ourselves. And I'm not talking about in serious situations, okay? I'm talking about in just, you know, run-of-the-mill situations when, you know, we have a relationship that goes apart or a friendship that goes awry or a work situation or whatever, and we play victim. And I was talking about like, you know, how when we say to, like, when you say to somebody like you're victimizing yourself, oh no I'm not, like no I'm not, like that, people get real defensive. I've even gotten real defensive in those situations and say, oh, you don't know what I've gone through, you don't know what it was like for me, right? And like I really truly believe, and I was thinking about this, that for me the way out of, I don't want to be a victim, right? Like I can't change other people and places, like I can't, or in situations, like I can't change how they treated me or what they did. So for me to continue to talk about being the victim and what was so wrongly done to me, if I continue to talk about that, I'm perpetuating the cycle in my own life of victimization, and I'm not getting anywhere, and I want to grow. Like I really, you know, like I was talking at the end of my Peterisms video about, and this actually just really happened, I would say recently, like in the last 3 to 6 months, that I kind of had this, it kind of like really came to me one day about this whole idea of like each of us have a journey in our own lives, you know? And I was thinking to myself, like, how cool it was that my journey, it was like I think I had done like a video of talking about like we lose by comparison when we compare our lives to somebody else's. And then I was thinking about it later, because often like what I talk about in my vlogs or whatever I talk about in my videos, like I'll think about later, you know, like if I read a meditation and it kind of resonates with me, I'll be like thinking about it throughout the day or whatever. And I was thinking about that, you know, about in talking about our own journey, like it's the whole kind of adage of like, if you could change your life with anybody, who would you change your life with? But if you did that, then you would miss out on all of the really great things that had happened in your life too, all the really valuable lessons, all the really cool experiences that you had. You'd be trading all of that out, right? I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't trade my life for somebody else's, because my life, my journey is specific to me. And then I found myself getting really, really excited about like, okay, today I'm gonna wake up and what life experiences, what new opportunities, what new people am I gonna meet today? And then life got real exciting again, you know? It just wasn't, you know, this humdrum waking up and going through the motions. It was like, oh my God, what is, you know, it was like I can remember being in college and going to like the first day of classes and being like, you know, what hot guy is going to be in my class today kind of thing, you know, or am I going to meet a good friend today? Like I always had that kind of attitude in going to like the first day of classes. And so I was thinking about that, you know, and then I was thinking about, there was, what was the other meditation? It was talking about, well, along with the victimization thing, the first meditation was about giving compliments to people. And I was thinking about this woman that I used to work with, and I talked about it on there, but like how she used to always give compliments. And she said something to me one time about, you know, I have the choice every day when I wake up of whether or not I want to see the good in people or the bad in people, kind of, or the ugly in people, you know? And she was like, I choose to see the good in people. And she would go out of her way to find things that she liked about people. And I thought, you know, was thinking about that today, and I thought, is there like an accident on the other side of the road over here? Oh my God, there's like a ton of cop cars. And I was thinking to myself, you know, how easy it is for us to find the ugliness in somebody else instead of looking for the positive in somebody else, you know? It's really, really easy to pick out the things that we don't like in other people, but instead, especially the people that we don't really like, I think it's on the other side of the interstate, like on the side road over there. You know, it's on the interstate. What's going on? There's ambulances. Oh, there was a bad accident. Damn. They're taking somebody out of the back of a truck. That's scary. But, you know, I think it's especially hard when it's somebody that we don't really like, or somebody that pushes our buttons, or, you know, whatever. And if it's somebody that if it's somebody that we don't have to interact with, emotionally detach and don't have them in your life. You know, like, I'm all about removing toxicity from my life. But if it's somebody that you have to interact with, you know, like a family member or a coworker or something like that, you know, a classmate if you're in college or wherever you are, you know, every once in a while, like, well, I was talking in a vlog one time, I said about the average age group of my vlog, and this girl was so sweet. She was like, I'm 15 and I'm in high school and I listen to your vlogs every night. And I was like, that just like was so sweet to me. But, you know, whatever. If there are people around you that you don't like, and they're to some degree making your life miserable, this won't take away you're not liking them or your misery, but to maybe find like one true thing or one good thing about them. That I really like that term, one true thing. I've been thinking a lot lately about that movie with Meryl Streep, if you ever saw it. I don't know why. That movie really impacted me at the time that I saw it. And weirdly enough, and later I kind of lived it with my mom, but I really like that saying, one true thing. But anyway, to find basically one true thing or one good thing, you know, about somebody that you dislike, so that you can always kind of go to that, you know? Well, yeah, this, but they're funny, you know, and, you know, or whatever. But then, like, I was watching it back, and it was interesting because I started talking about something in there, and I was like, you know, like, I kind of referenced to myself, but I was like, this is really, really true. Like, it really is. And especially when we talk about, like, social media, like, you know, just like the back and forth of social media where it gets really, really ugly, and I don't enjoy that. I just don't. I try my best to not participate in it as best I can. And let me tell you for a couple of reasons why, okay? Number one, because I cannot handle the emotional toll that it takes on me, okay? I am somebody that social media chaos, toxicity really does take an emotional toll on me. I can't say it doesn't. I can't act like, oh, it's just nothing. It's just Twitter, or it's just Facebook or whatever. Like, it really does take an emotional toll on me if I'm like in the middle of it. So it's better for me to stay away and distance myself from it. But the other thing is, I'm not very good at it, right? Like, I just end up getting angrier and angrier, and then, you know, like in the past, and I don't want to be that. And in trying to be a nicer person, and watching how I say things, and watching the language that I use and how I speak to people, I've realized that maybe that's, like, I don't need to be there, if that makes sense, you know? But I was thinking about this because I see it. It's not like I don't see it, you know, when I'm looking through these things. Like, I talk a lot about this on Facebook, and I see it on Twitter, and just people just kind of coming out and like lashing out at one another and pointing fingers, and if you knew this, and let me prove you wrong, and all this kind of stuff, you know? And I was talking about the choice in reacting in anger, and, you know, like, that it's kind of a, I think I said catchphrase, but the word I was looking for was cliched. It's a cliched statement when we say, you know, people that respond in anger and like all of this stuff, they're really miserable people. But the reality is, they really are miserable people. And I brought it back to me, and I was saying, you know, like, in my life, when I have responded, well, that's not even a good word. Reacted is a better word. When I have reacted out of anger and been like, you know, let me tell you something, and blah, 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 whatever, and I've gotten really angry, the reality is, I'm not very happy at that moment in my life. Maybe it is my overall life that I'm not happy with. Maybe there's many things that I'm not happy with. You know, maybe it's that my relationship with my husband isn't going real great at the moment. Maybe it's my relationship with my friends isn't going really well at the moment, you know? Maybe Tanya and I got into an argument. Maybe I'm stressed about money. Maybe, you know, like I'm just down on life and I'm just like nothing good ever goes my way. Whatever, right? If I'm reacting, not always, but if I'm regularly, consistently, over the course of a couple days, reacting that way, or that's who I've become, again, I have to bring it back to me. What is my part in that? I can't change anybody else. It isn't about what they said to me. I have a choice. People can say stuff to me all the time, right? I have a choice in whether I react to that or not. I have a choice in whether I respond to that or not. And I have a choice in how I respond to that. And do I choose to respond to that in anger? Or do I choose to respond to that in peace? You know, it's up to me. And the reality is, I haven't been very happy in the past, you know, in times when I've done, like, let's just be for real, I've done a shit ton of inventory on myself in my life in the last year. And what I know is the times that I responded or reacted the ugliest, it's the times that I haven't been very happy in my life. You know, I look back on the periods in my life where I had no emotional sobriety and I just didn't treat people very nice. I just didn't, you know? And so the reality is that people that respond and react out of anger and ugliness really are truly kind of miserable. It's not like this cliched statement, it's the truth. And if you ask yourself, when have you reacted the ugliest? It's probably when you were the most unhappy in your life. That's just a reality. Really happy, peaceful, serene people do not react and respond out of anger and hatred. They just don't. And like, I kind of was like watching it back and I heard myself say that in response to this meditation. I was like, that's right. Like, I really hadn't thought about it that deeply, you know? And looking at my own life, that I don't, most of the time today, I can't really think of any specific examples, but most of the time I don't react that way because I'm much more peaceful than I used to be. My, you know, marriage isn't a great spot. You know, my friendships are good. I'm genuinely happy in my life on a day-to-day basis. So I'm not like, that's not my go-to emotion, is anger and, you know, hatred and frustration, resentment and rage. So I think if that is our go-to emotion, and I think that this is an important lesson for all of us, because there have been moments, like I've said in my life, where that has been my go-to. If that's your go-to, evaluate your life for you, not for anybody else, and then ask yourself, because if the truth is that we're reacting that way because we really aren't happy. Nobody, I don't think, really wants to admit, oh, I'm miserable, I'm not happy in my life. Like, who wants to really say that out loud, okay? It's embarrassing and it's shameful, because it's like, well, I take my life for granted, you know, I'm not grateful for what I have, right? I think that's where the go-to is with it. But we shouldn't feel that way. I think there's many of us that at times, including myself, much of my life, that I have been ungrateful and I have, you know, felt miserable in my own life. But who has the opportunity to fix that? Me. Only me, right? I'm the only one that can fix that. And if I'm reacting to people that way, then that should be a telltale sign that I'm probably not very happy in my life. Because really, truly happy, peaceful, calm people, they don't react out of anger. They just don't. Find somebody that you consider really happy, peaceful, and serene, and go look for regular examples. I mean, I'm talking daily, every other day, examples of how they're responding to people with anger and hatred. They're not. They just aren't. Like, that's just the reality, you know? I mean, you know, like when I look at my life and I think of people, like, I'm talking about like huge, you know, icon kind of people that have been, icon people that have been role models to me. You know, I think of like one person that I don't, not her whole life is representative to me this way, but very much when I think of like how she interacted with people is Mother Teresa, you know? She did not scream and yell and rant and rave at people because she was a peaceful, serene person. That's just the reality of it, right? And when you, and I've worked with nuns too in my life, and there are some of them that are surly as hell. So it doesn't just have to do with the fact that she was in that, you know, area of work. There's a lot of nuns that work in recovery, tons and tons of them. And I would say 80% of them were really enjoyable to work with. I'd say there was a few hard-ass nuns that I worked with as well, but no, I think, you know, like, I was thinking about that. I was like, man, that was like right in front of my face, and I never even saw it. If I'm reacting that way and responding to people out of anger, I'm probably not really happy with my life. So the next time that I find myself reacting and responding that way, unless it's a momentary situation, like as a result of something that's going on, like, you know, if you have this really bad situation with work, right? And let's say you're going into work and you work with a bunch of mean girls, or you have people that are being mean to you, or you think you're being unfairly treated by your supervisor, sure, right? Like, that's a situation where if, like, an isolated incident happens, you might respond out of anger and frustration because you're frustrated with that situation, right? But then the inventory that you would want to do is take a look at that specific situation and say, what do I need to change about this situation? Now, the first question would be, how am I going to change these people? How am I going to change the way that they are treating me? Okay, so I'm going to let you guys answer that question for a second. How are you going to change the way that somebody treats you or the way that somebody talks to you? Well, you can't, right? So then the next question would be, what am I going to change within myself? Do I need to remove myself from the situation? Do I need to learn how to respond and react differently? Do I need to find coping mechanisms? What do I need to do? So then it's back to us again, right? And so it really has nothing to do with them. But I don't want these isolated incidents to have control over my overall well-being of my life. I just don't. I know there's a lot of people out there that get this whole thing, this whole gig when I say, you know, like, about being peaceful and serene and content. And then I know there's a few people out there that think it's a joke and it's funny. And I don't really care. Like, you know, it's my truth and I'm going to speak it. But if you're somebody out there that thinks it's funny, you know, ask yourself why you think that's funny. Ask yourself why you think living a life of peace and serenity and happiness and joy is funny. Like, that somebody would say that. Like, I don't take that as an insult when people laugh at me. It kind of makes me sad that somebody else hasn't experienced that yet, because I hadn't experienced that, you know? It's like, I remember back in the day, you know, like, I didn't understand why I needed to work these steps in recovery, right? I was real resistant to it. And people would be like, oh, the steps. I'd be like, screw these steps. These steps they don't mean anything, right? And so I'd be like in a meeting and somebody would say, oh, the third step changed my life. It saved my life. Oh, when I did my fourth step, it saved my life. And I'd be like, are you kidding me? These people are a bunch of idiots. They know what they're talking about, right? Some people be in there and they'd be like, oh, the ninth step, making amends, it changed my life. Oh my God. And I'd be like, oh yeah, because making an amends to somebody's going to change your life, right? I'd be like side-eyeing all these people. And I remember I said something to my sponsor at one point. I was like, why are people so gung-ho about these steps? And he was like, just wait till you've gone through them. And I was like, what? And he was like, you won't truly understand it until you've been there yourself and gone through it. I was like, whatever. Another ambiguous bullshit statement that somebody's telling me in recovery that I'm supposed to believe in, right? And then I worked the steps, and I was on the other side, and I was one of those people saying, the ninth step changed my life. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. Like, we want to laugh at something that we haven't been to. It's like we want to make fun of something that we don't understand, right? I don't want people to be unhappy. I don't want people to be wasting their lives. When it comes down to it, it's not about Facebook. It's not about Twitter. It's not about YouTube. It's not about interactions and who is right and who is wrong. It's about days of our lives. It's about moments of our lives. It's about minutes ticking away and people out there wasting it because they're unhappy with their life. Change it. Change it before it is over. If there is something in your life that you do not like, change it. If you don't like me, that's fine. But please listen to what I'm saying. Do not waste another minute of your life spending time doing something that you don't like. Spending time with people that you don't like. You're wasting your life, and there's going to be a second that you look back on it and you regret it. My mother, there were many situations where she was very bitter at people in her life for long periods of time. My mother could hold resentments. I talk about how wise my mother was and all that kind of stuff, but she could hold resentments too. And you know, the end of her life, I only wonder, like, if she were looking back on her life, would she think, I spent too much time being bitter at this person? Was it pointless? I'd rather spend my life and my days being happy and joyous about things, you know? So, yeah. basically that was all marketing for you to go and watch my Peter Resistance videos. No, but they were good meditations today. That's why I love those meditation books. They always give me something to think about, you know? They'll be like, oh God, I never thought of it that way. Or they'll say like one thing that I'd never thought of it that way. There was one line in I think it was the one that was talking about victimization, and it was like, you know, when we're sitting in the middle of this mess and we're looking at this mess that we're in and we wonder how the hell did we get here, we don't really have anybody to blame at the end except for ourselves, right? Well, we can't change anybody else, so we've got to focus. It's gonna stop, hold on. So we've got to focus on, you know, ourselves and working on what we can do. I don't know, like, I know, like, I say that over and over and over and over again, but the reality is, the only sense of control that I have in any situation is the control that I can take back over fixing my part in a situation, you know? I had a situation earlier in the year that I knew that I needed to make an amends for a situation. And you know, in all honesty, when I have to go to somebody and make an amends to them about my behavior in the past, that's not something that I really like I'm like looking forward to, I'm excited about, you know what I mean? Like often that's a very tail between your legs kind of situation, but it's also like a clearing of the wreckage of your past, you know? And this situation wasn't a whole lot different than any situation that I would have had with anybody else that I've made amends to, you know? It wasn't my first, it won't be my last. And, you know, I inventoried it with my sponsor, and I talked to her, and she said, you're ready to do this. Don't go in with any expectations. Just take responsibility for this, this, and this, because these are the things, because we had inventoried it. And she was like, the whole relationship is not your fault. The whole downfall of this situation is not your fault. It's just this, this, and this. And so, you know, I called this person, and we talked, and, you know, I took responsibility for my part and whatever, and I left that conversation feeling good. Like I really, really did, you know? And, that's about the fixing me part. And, you know, like, down the road, behaviors were being repeated again. You know, not on my side, but on the other person's side. And I didn't really know what to do with that. And so I called my sponsor, and she said, you're not in this. This isn't about you. Like, you know, she was like, this is about her. This isn't about you. You know, you need to just take care of myself. And this is somebody that I have to interact with on a pretty regular basis. Like, this is a real world thing, you know? And she was like, this is about you. Like, you've done your part. This is her. She has her part over here. Your job is not to fix her part, you know? And you've done your part. And now you need to let it go. You need to pray on it and let it go. And I did that, you know? And it was fine. It didn't kill me. It didn't wreck me. It didn't, like, you know, whatever. And somehow the emotional attachment was kind of removed. So I've had all kinds of situations in my life, you know, where, like, the amends process, like, when you go into it, is not to say I'm sorry and be forgiven. Like, that's very confusing, I think, to people. It's about going into a situation, stating what I've done, taking responsibility for it, asking the other person if I'm forgetting anything, or are there things that I did that I'm not remembering, could you please tell me? Taking responsibility for those things as well if they are, asking the other person how they would like you to fix that situation, how to fix the wreckage of your past, and then moving forward, right? And that's it. And it's really not for them, it's really for you. And I know that sounds even almost kind of selfish, but it really is. It's about cleaning up all of these areas, you know, that you've wrecked in your past. and not continuing to do the same things over and over and over again. And that's another reason why peace and serenity is important for me, because if I'm living in peace and serenity and happiness, I'm probably not going to recreate those kind of same situations that I have in my past, and I don't want to continue to do that. For the number one reason is I don't want to have to continue to make amends on a regular basis in my life, you know what I mean? Like, I kind of just like to live my life at some point, you know? But I'll always have to do that in my life. There will always be situations where I owe somebody an amends or something happened, you know, and that's okay. I have friends of mine that really, really struggle with, like, making amends to people that they feel like they offer, that, like, that person needs to, they deserve an amends from that person as well. And that was kind of the situation, you know, like with what I was talking about earlier. And like my sponsor kept on saying to me over and over and over and over and over again, this isn't about them, this isn't about them, this is about you and what you did, and this is about you taking accountability. And I'm not going to say I wasn't allowed, but she suggested I not go into that amends until I could go into it with a pure heart and expect nothing from them in return. And when I did that, you know? And I think that's why I felt what I felt afterwards with the amends, you know, like I felt like it was complete, it was done, and that there was closure there. So even though, you know, they kind of like turn around again and we're doing some of the same things, it didn't really have the same effect on me because I kind of like cleaned it up. And like I said, this is like somebody that I have to like, you know, interact with like on a pretty regular basis, you know, in my real life, and I'm able to just be like, hey, what's up, you know, like, and be able to have like a civil, you know, whatever relationship today. And that's nice, you know, that's nice to be able to have a civil relationship with somebody that you didn't used to get along with. I think it's nice. I think we really minimize that, you know? We don't have to be somebody's best friend. We don't have to be their good Judy, okay? Just to have a civil relationship with them and be able to be like in the same room and get along with them, I think that's fine. I think that's great, you know? And, so. And I really think too, you know, like, I look at that situation and, you know, Tanya and we've talked about this because it's somebody that she knows too, and she was like, I really think it says more about, it doesn't matter, but anyway, you know, it just, it's all about, you know, me and what's my part in certain situations. But I want to be happy today, you know? I want to have the happiest possible life that I can have, and I want to have the most peaceful life. And when you think about, like, in all honesty, right? Like, when you think about, you get up during the day, okay? And let's say if you get up at, like, 7 o'clock in the morning, okay? And you go to bed at, let's say, 10 o'clock at night. So you're up for 15 hours. What is that, 15 hours? You're up for 15 hours a day, okay? Most people about that time. And in that 15 hours, you work, you hang out with your family, you clean, you see your friends, you eat dinner, you eat lunch, you eat breakfast, you run errands. Did I say that already? You spend time with your animals, you know, whatever your pets are. You go see movies, you read books, whatever. That's a lot to fit in 15 hours, you know? And then when you think about the fact that we only have so many days on this planet, of those 15 hours, I do not want to hand over any more days, any more moments, any more hours to people in my life that did not earn the place to be there to begin with. But I have allowed them to come in and be there. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm just not. I only want people there that want to be there in my life and want to be there peacefully and loving and compassionately. And I want to offer them the same as well. I think that's one thing too, is that, you know, there was a period of my life, there's been many periods in my life, many periods in my life, you know, when I had people in my life that we didn't really get along. I didn't really enjoy interacting with them, and I'm sure they didn't enjoy interacting with me either, but yet we were in each other's lives. Why? There's no point to that. Unless you work with that person, like legit have to go clock in and be with that person, or it's a family member. Why? Why are you doing that? Why are you spending time with somebody on this earth that you don't have any joy in being around whatsoever if you do not have to, or interacting with that person? It's just like, you don't have to act like they even exist. To you, I mean, there's hundreds of millions of people out there in the world. You don't even have to act like they exist, and they don't have to act like you exist. And yet we sometimes seem to, I know I have, spend my time often trying to get attention from people that I know don't like me to begin with. I did that a lot when I was like, you know, in junior high and high school, I think, because I was bullied so much, was that it was important for me to get validation from people that didn't like me instead of spending time with people that did. Like, that's a skewed way of looking at the world, you know? It's all choices, you know, and how we choose to spend our time. Very, very fragile, precious time that we have here on Earth. So it's all how we decide to spend it. All right, you guys, listen, I am going to get off here. I don't know how I said I said to myself in my head, don't say it out loud, but just say to yourself that this is going to be a short vlog tonight. But I think it ended up being over an hour. Am I over an hour right now? I don't know. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a fantastic Sunday. I hope that we get to go to brunch and my husband feels better. I hope we get to go to the pumpkin patch. Because I want him to be able to get out of the house for a little bit and enjoy his weekend and not be, oh, well, I guess we're going to San Diego this week, so he's excited about that, and so am I. Anyway, I hope you guys are having an amazing Sunday. Unless you have other plans, you know, Sundays are my favorite days of the week. They're the day to get prepared for the week and relax and just enjoy your day and spend it with family, or spend it with your pets, or read a great book, or watch a great movie. You don't have obligations to do anything. You don't even have to clean. You don't even have to make your bed if you don't want to. You can just hang out. And I hope you're having like I said, I hope you're having an amazing Sunday. Unless you have other plans, but don't have other plans. Make the most of your day. Make the most of your day. Enjoy it. Life is not a dress rehearsal. And yeah, do something fun today. You're exchanging a day of your life for it. And if nobody else has told you, there's one person out there I know for a fact that watches my vlogs, and when I say you're exchanging a day of your life for it, and you know who you are, she has to know what I mean by that. Because that's from something actually that only she would know. So anyway, you're exchanging a day of your life for it. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. I mean that. I do. And it means a lot to me that you watch my vlogs every single day, and that you participate in my life, and you allow me to participate in yours. And I was reading some of the comments on the vlog tonight. It just was so kind. And then I was getting, like, you know, comments on my, like, Peter Mon videos. I was responding to some of them. It was like, me and my boyfriend just sat down to watch your video. And I was like, this is so sweet, you know, that I'm part of somebody's Saturday night is cool, you know. So thank you for all of that. I appreciate it. Yeah. So if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And make sure that you look at yourself in the mirror every single day and you tell yourself how important you are, and you say, I love you. You are valuable. You're valuable is an important thing for us to say to ourselves, and to believe it inside, that we are valuable. Each one of our lives is precious and valuable. We impact the world around us in ways that we don't even know. And most importantly, make sure that you pass it on to somebody else and let them know how important they are to you. And just pick somebody at random today and let them know that they're important to you. And I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love you. Love you.